Tinea pedis, showing scaling macerated skin between the toes. You will need a bone curette to scrape the scaling areas. Sometimes a pair of small tweezers may also be useful to pull off bits of infected skin. Take a swab of the lesion to pick up any loose scales to finish the collection. Subclinical tinea pedis is often chronic and may remain localized just under the little toe for many years, only to become apparent when spread to another site, usually the groin or nails. Most people, probably 20% of the adult population, carry tinea just under their little toe. When was the last time you looked under your little toe? You will need a bone curette to scrape the scaling areas and swab the lesion to pick up any loose scales to finish the collection. Vesicular type tinea pedis, showing numerous blisters with a serous exudate. The blister roof is the most important specimen to collect. You will need a pair of small scissors and forceps to detach the blister roof. Also swab the lesion to finish the collection. Tinea pedis, showing dry scaling lesions on the sole of the foot. You will need a bone curette or blunt scalpel to scrape the scaling areas. Once again, swab the lesion to pick up any loose scales to finish the collection. Severe tinea of the foot, sometimes called moccasin tinea pedis, showing extensive scaling. You will need a bone curette or blunt scalpel to scrape the scaling areas. Once again, swab the lesion to pick up any loose scales to finish the collection. Onychomycosis of the great toenail, caused by Trichophyton rubrum. You will need a blunt scalpel to scrape under the nail. Once again, swab the lesion to pick up any loose scales to finish the collection. Place a black collection card under the toe with the infected nail. Then use a blunt scalpel to scrape under the nail until the crumbling degenerative keratin debris is reached. Initially, it may take some time to dig under the nail. However, with perseverance you will be able to collect enough material. The keratin debris from under the nails is the best specimen to collect for a laboratory diagnosis. Use a swab to pick up loose debris to finish the collection. This amount of material and a swab will maximise the ability of the laboratory to make a diagnosis. Another example of a nail collection showing the use of a blunt scalpel to scrape under the nail. It's often surprising to see just how much keratin debris is present. Collect as much material as you can. The greater the amount, the more chance the laboratory has of making a diagnosis. Once again, use a swab to pick up loose debris to finish the collection. One final example of a nail collection showing the use of a blunt scalpel to dig out the keratin debris from under the infected nail. It may take 3 to 5 minutes to dig out enough material from under the nail. Use a swab to pick up loose debris to finish the collection. The ability of the laboratory to detect a fungus is very much dependent on the quality of the specimen it receives. For example, the black card on the left, labelled A, shows an adequate collection with sufficient material for the laboratory to do both microscopy and culture. However, the card on the right, labelled B, shows a grossly inadequate specimen, what we in the lab call fairy dust. Please remember, it is necessary to collect an adequate amount of material for both microscopy and culture. Quantity is the most important thing. Finally, always check that the form is correctly filled out and that all specimens are correctly labelled and sealed.